All the way, man, I'm locked in. From the time I wake, I be locked in. I don't need no break. Okay. Let's play. Okay. I say ain't nothing but my grind on my mind. See, we started with nothing, then we climb, then we gonna keep bucking till we finally shine. Indeed, I keep them ducking, baby, time after time. I say ain't nothing but my grind on my mind. See, we started with nothing, then we climb, then we gonna keep bucking till we finally shine. Indeed, I keep them ducking, baby, time after time. I said it's getting hotter out that flame I came. They try to stop me, straight up block me through that pain I've gained. A newer way, pursue my race. Look, I don't cry no more. I just load up my mind and let my grind go show. Cause I'm locked in. Every single day I be locked in. Focused all the way, man, I'm locked in. From the time I wake, I be locked in. I don't need no break. Okay.
Mic check.
Let's play. Okay. Let's play.
What's good? Welcome back to Sip the Tatler Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and we're going to do our Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals preview. Let me take this down so you can see the stuff over here. I'll put the comments back up there a little bit later. But good morning to everybody. Hope y'all had a good night's rest, good Friday night's rest up early on this Saturday morning. We're going to keep you for about 15, 20 minutes. And we're going to get you up out here, give you some stats and some information about the rematch from Thanksgiving night in Cincinnati this time, 1 o'clock p.m. EST. And before we get started, a few shout outs. King Blaze was in here early. Ashley is here. Appreciate you guys for coming through. Zeke says, "What's good, Unc?" Hey, I'm chilling, man. Chilling. Jada6, good morning as well. Who else we got? Ravenville, appreciate you for coming through. What's up, Big Reg? Appreciate you for getting up with us. Good morning, Tila. Good morning. Who else we got in here? Trav. What's good? We're gonna go ahead and get this thing started, man. And so I won't keep y'all too long. Keep y'all from y'all Saturday morning cleaning or errands or going back to sleep or whatever you got to do. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So we're going to start with just some regular at a glance stuff. And most of this stuff I got came from NFL Pro, just trying to do a little something different to what I was doing in the past. We've been losing games, so I just said I'm gonna pivot and do something different. And if we win, I'll keep doing it this way. I won't go back to the other one. So at a glance, points per game, you see the Ravens are 13th with 23.9. The Bengals are 24-2. They're 11th. They score a few more points than us. They're obviously a more explosive offense. And well, I ain't gonna say they're more explosive offense. They're in J-Mar. That's what it is in J-Mar. That's what it is. Point differential. We're 18th. They're 29th. We're -9. They're -99. 90-point difference, which is it's huge. And again, we go through this like we did last time. When we did this last time, they were 32 or 30 in a bunch of defensive categories. When we did this 2 weeks ago for the Thanksgiving episode, they were 32 or 31 or 30 for a bunch of defensive categories. But records in close games, we're 2-3, they're 3-4. So neither one of us have a good record when it comes to playing close games. Average margin of victory for the Ravens is 14-7. That puts them 8th in the league. As far as the Bengals, they're 6.2. That's 28th. Turnover differential. Both teams are tied at 24 with -5. And then total penalties. Both teams have done pretty good this well with penalties. We're 5th in the league. They're 3rd. So, for the most part, penalties from both of these teams have been cleaned up because they were a big issue with both teams last year, especially with us with the offensive line penalties and the pre-snap penalties. All right, let's go to our next one. We'll talk about the odds and whatnot for you betting folks out there. So for those that don't know, this minus 2.5 means the Baltimore Ravens are favored. And if you bet money on the Baltimore Ravens, what you have to do is hope that they win by 3 or more. That's what this means for the people that don't know. All right, for the people that don't know, this plus 25 means that the Cincinnati Bengals are underdogs and they can lose the game by 1 or 2 points, but you still win. For those that don't know, and I know most people know, but there are pretty sure a few people out there that don't know. So if you bet on the Bengals with this 2.5 spread, they can still lose the game as long as they lose by 1 or 2 points, and you still win. That's how that works. Now the over and under. So this 51 and a half. So if you bet the over and they score 52 points, you win. If you bet the under and they score 51 or below, combined, you win. So if you bet the under and they score 51 or less, you win. And this is the combined score. Like if the score is 24-28, that's 52. So that would be the over. And if it's 20-20 or 20-21, that would be 41 and it'd be the under. Got it? And then as far as money line, you just betting on the winner and the loser. That's how that works. You just betting on the winner or the loser. All right. Next, let's go to some what's this? Overall matchups. Overall matchups. And so overall passion efficiency. I'm sorry, I can't even say my words right. Efficiency. The Ravens are 26. The Bengals defense is 31. The advantage here is Baltimore Ravens. Rushing efficiency, the Ravens offense is third. The Bengals defense is 31st. And you see those 31st pop back up for the Bengals defense again. We have the advantage there. So according to analytics, we should run the ball. According to analytics, we should run the ball. And then pressure rate. The Ravens offense is 17. The Bengals defense is 25. We should have an advantage there, but we know what our offensive line looks like. And the fact that they don't have Hendrickson rushing the passer is good as well. I can't remember if Shamar is back, but we'll know that later on when I get to the injury report that's at the end of these slides. All right, let's go to the other side of that. Overall passing efficiency for the Bengals offense is 24. Ravens defense is 21, giving us a slight advantage. Rushing efficiency, they're 12. We're 18, giving the Bengals a slight advantage in that. And then pressure rate for the Bengals offense, 15. And we don't get pressure. So this is a major advantage for the Cincinnati Bengals because we just don't get pressure for some strange reason. All right, let's go into some key advantages. All right, rushing versus a light box. The Ravens number 3 in that. Bengals are 32nd, so you see the advantage there. Overall rushing efficiency, we're 3, they're 31st. Like I told you earlier, their defense statistically is not very good, but they got 5 turnovers versus us on Thanksgiving. So turnovers kind of negate all these different numbers. And so we got to keep the ball. That's a huge, huge factor coming up Sunday. We got to keep the ball. Play action versus pass versus play action, 6, and they're 30. So we have advantage there. Design runs, we got the advantage there. You see the 30, 31s, and 32, and then rushing outside the tackles, we're 6, they're 30. So we got a major advantage as far as running the freaking football. So run the ball. Now, when you flip sides on them for short passing, they're 31. Our defense is 9th in that. So we got advantage there. That surprised the heck out of me when I saw it. Rushing inside the tackles, they're 5th. We're 25th in that. What you don't realize here, we give up a lot to duo. And what happens is when people run duo on us, they double team Travis, and then nobody else can win their one-on-one blocks. That's what happens. When people run duo and inside, like real inside runs on us, like ISO and stuff like that too, they'll double team Travis, and then nobody else wins one-on-ones. And that's how their other teams get yards on us. Especially like that Detroit game when they just ran duo down our throat. All right, passing versus the play action. They're 29th. We're 10th defending versus play action, so we have the advantage there. Pressure rate, 15th to 29. Again, we don't get pressure, so they have the advantage. And then rushing outside the tackles, we do run to the football. I will say that. We do run to the football. So if you don't hit us downhill, we do a decent job of getting to you outside the tackles. Case in point, think about the Lions game. And we know how fast Jahmyr Gibbs is to the outside and stuff like that. He didn't really hurt us. It was David Montgomery coming downhill with duo and ISO and stuff like that that carved us up. So we do run to the ball, and we have a good we do a good job of getting outside on like outside zone runs or any kind of like quick screens and stuff like that. I will say that the defense does run to the ball. All right, let's look at some passing comparisons. All right, passing versus the play action. So the Ravens are six, the Bengals defense. You're gonna see a bunch of high numbers for the Bengals defense. We have the advantage there. Quick passing, we have the advantage. Passing versus pressure, we have the advantage. Barely. Short passing, we have the advantage. Passing versus no blitz, us. Overall passing efficiency, us. Long passes, us barely. We ain't great at that, but they ain't great at defending it either. Passes with no play action, 30 and 30. But our concepts and well, I'm gonna say it's a mixture of our concepts and our guys just not getting open. Cause I ain't gonna blame it all on Todd. I ain't gonna blame it all on the players. It's a combination of both. They not getting open plus with some basic concepts that they just defending. People defending. Passing versus no pressure. Obviously, if you don't get pressure, you should have the advantage, and it should be more than one star, but it's not, which freaking sucks. And then deep passing, there's no advantage either way. Intermediate passing, no advantage either way. And passing versus the blitz, no advantage either way, which is crazy. Because when you get to their side, it's going to be a clear advantage one way or the other in these certain categories. It's not a Ravens game without a heart attack. Right. Definitely. It's gonna be tight for whatever reason. It really is. Even if we start off blowing them out, they start off blowing us out, it's gonna be some kind of chaos and some kind of pull your hair out moments in every game. It won't be a Ravens Sunday without it. All right, let's get to this one. All right. So short passing, defensively, we have the advantage there. Passing versus the play action, defensively, we have the advantage. Deep passing. We know what they bring to the table as far as throwing it deep, throwing it to J Maul, throwing it to Yossi Bosch. I think they got a deep touchdown to Yossi Bosch over the middle over Roquan last game. So that's considered deep passing. Passing versus no blitz. We have the advantage because we don't do well blitzing, and blitzing him really will hurt your back end. So you best to not do it as much. Better do it some, but not do it as much. And then passing versus the blitz, you see they have the advantage there. They do a good job of getting the ball out and then letting their guys get yacked. Long passing, we have the advantage. They haven't had Joe a lot, so a lot of their stuff has been underneath and short and quick. But now that Joe's back, they'll probably get better at throwing their long passes, and probably even so more when T get back because T not playing that second concussion, or they put him back in concussion protocol, which that means he probably shouldn't have played last week. Honestly, but I'm talking about T. He probably shouldn't have played last week because he was in concussion protocol, didn't play. Came this game, played, and then went right back into concussion protocol. So that means he probably shouldn't have played last week. Let's see, passing with no play action, they have the advantage there. Passing with no pressure is us. Overall passing efficiency is us. Quick passing is them because they got to get the ball out because their offensive line is not good either. And then intermediate passing is them as well because they do a good job of having concepts or just saying F it. J Mar down there somewhere, and he go get it. All right, let's look at the rushing stats, and we definitely should dominate these because they look at the high numbers for them. Rushing versus light box, us. Overall rushing efficiency, us. Design runs, us. Outside the tackle, us. Shotgun rushing, us. Inside tackles, us. QB scrambles, us. Under center, us. Rushing in the red zone. You see where our biggest flaw shows up. Red zone. We are terrible in the red zone because we can't run without the element of pass, if that makes sense. When you get to a spot where you have to run the ball like low red zone and you can't, that's a problem. If we ever have the lead and we have to run the ball with 4 minute offense, like when them situations where you're going to run and defense knows you're going to run and then you can't do it, that's a problem. That's a problem. When they don't have the element of like defending deep or defending intermediate passes and they can just key in on the run and you still can't run, that's a problem, even for short yardage. All right, Russians versus stack box, we have the advantage there, but you got to account for it. That's the entire field. Once we get in the red zone, this probably will be 5 stars Bengals, probably. Let's go to the other side. Rushing inside the tackles for them. Again, they have the advantage because we don't stop inside the tackles well. We do stop outside the tackles. And then you see the next stat is outside the tackles. We have a huge advantage there. QB scrambles, we do a good job at that. Rushing under the center, they have the advantage, which they didn't do a lot with Joe Black or Joe Burrow. They did it with Flacco and with the other guy, and they were fairly successful at it. But Joe Burrow likes to stay in the shotgun. Now they have gotten under center more. I think they finally convinced him, hey, we can do a little bit more if you get under center and do some things. So I think they've convinced him to do that. But they have the advantage in that as well. Rushing the red zone. We're the number one defense versus, the red zone rushes. I guess because people just throw it on us. I guess. But design runs, they have the advantage. Rushing versus light box, you should have the advantage in that if it's a light box. Rushing in the shotgun, we win that one. Overall rushing efficiency, they have a slight advantage. And then rushing versus a stacked box, there's no advantage there for either team. All right, injury report. So I just talked about that a minute ago. All right, for us, Rashad Bateman he did not practice Friday, but we don't know what his designation is. Tavis Robinson was a full go. Hopefully he'll play. Our Darius coming off the Achilles was full go again. I don't know if he's going to play. I hope he does. Ronnie Stanley had a rest day, so he'll play. Mark Andrews had a glute, but he was a full practice. Awuzie shoulder was a full practice. Bullock, not injury related, personal matter was a full practice. Lamar was a full practice. Keaton was a full practice, and then Nate Wiggins was a full practice. For them, T. Higgins has been ruled out with a concussion. PJ Jules is doubtful. Jamar Stewart is doubtful. Trey Henderson is not playing. Shaka Hayward is unspecified. We don't know what's going on with him. And then Joseph Osai, who was a huge factor in that first game, is unspecified as well. So we don't know if he's going to play as well. Team leaders, and we'll start with passing. Get over here so I can see it as well. So you're not gonna come up. That's what we're doing today. We got company. You're gonna show. All right, here we go. Passing leaders: Lamar Jackson, a little over 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Quarterback rating is 100. Lamar ain't having the greatest year, but it ain't a bad year either. He ain't having the greatest year, but it ain't a bad year either, especially when he missed what three games, 3.5 games. Joe Flacco for them, 1,636 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His passer rating is 91.4. All right, we get into the rushing. Derrick Henry has 1,025 yards. Their leading rusher. Chase Brown has 727. Henry has 10 TDs. Chase has 3. And carries. Derrick Henry has 222. Chase has 172, and that makes up 4.2 yards per carry for Chase and 4.6 yards per carry for Derrick Henry. Lamar is second with 307, and then Keaton Mitchell is third with 229. And for them, Samaje Perine is second with 268, and Jake Browning, the one of the backups, he might be the emergency quarterback now, with 39 yards rushing. Let's look at receiving. Receiving for us, obviously Zay Flowers, most targets, most catches, 95 targets, 68 catches, 891 yards and a touchdown. Mark Andrews is second with 38, and then DeAndre Hopkins is third on the team with 17 catches. Yards, I'm sorry, yards. We're doing this in yards. He's third in yards with 257. Catches, let me see. Catches is Zay Flowers 68, Mark with 38, and Isaiah Likely with 22. But we're going back to yards for the Bengals. J. Moore has 1,015. T. Higgins has 667. And, damn, J. Moore got 91 catches already? Sheesh. You got 91 catches already. And then Yosef you got 363 yards. As far as receptions, it's J. Moore, Chase with 51, then T. Higgins with 46. So they're going to really be throwing the ball to J. Moore and throwing it to Chase out the backfield for the most part, especially with T not playing. But T got 9 touchdowns. J. Moore got 5. That's wild. That's wild. As far as touchdowns for us, Mark has 5, DeAndre Hopkins has 2, Rashad Bateman has 2. This defensive side is what's going to trip you out. This defensive side is what's going to trip you out. All right, tackles wise for us. Defensive tackles. Roquan has 100 already. Teddy Buchanan has 83. Kyle has 79. For them, Jordan Battle has 94. Geno Stone has 93. And Demetrius Knight. Now, what position is Jordan Battle? Jordan Battle, that's what I thought. This is an alarming number for me because their leading tacklers are safeties. which means they're giving up runs where running backs are getting to the third level. Whereas when you look at our leading tackles, our leading tacklers are linebackers, which well, it should be linebackers. But when your leading tackles are safeties, that means offenses are getting to your second and third level with ease, and the safeties are having to make those tackles, or they should be turning into touchdowns. That's key. So we have to take it. We have to run the ball on them and have to not turn over. What'd you say, Trev? Coach, you think they're gonna try to have Wiggins, Trev, Chase again? I saw a lot of bracket stuff they tried to do to Chase last time, and it worked some, but he still got his. They would have Nate underneath and Aloha over top, and even with the original route being covered, we ain't getting no pressure, so they go in the scramble drill and he still get the ball. So they just got to mix it up the best they can. They got to mix it up the best they can. When we go to sacks, this is the funny thing right here. Sacks. Let me see if I can put this whole thing up here. Sacks. Our leading sacker is Mike Green at 2.5 sacks. Second is Calvin Orr with 2 sacks. Third, a guy we hadn't seen since like week 3, Namde Matabike with 2. This is wild. Matabike hadn't played since like week 3, maybe week 4, and he's still third on the team in sacks. It's crazy. It is crazy. And then for them, the sack leader is Joseph Bosai with 5, Trey Henderson with 4, and I don't know the last time we saw Trey Henderson. And BJ Hill got 3. Week 2, appreciate it, Blackman. These sack numbers are they just bad. There's no other way to say it. They bad. They bad. They bad. And then when you go to interceptions, Nate has 3, Malachi has 2, Marlon Humphrey has 1, and for them, Jordan Battle has 3, Geno Stone has 2, and DJ Turner has 2. Last 5 games for us. We beat the Vikings in Minnesota. Then beat the Browns, and I think that was the game Shador came in the second half and got his feet wet. Beat the Jets, lost to the Bengals on Thanksgiving, and then lost to the Steelers last week. The Bengals last 5. They lost to the Bears, lost to the Steelers, lost to the Patriots, beat us on Thanksgiving, and then lost to the Bills. They've lost 4 out of 5. We've lost our last 2. Both teams are spiraling. And they're completely out. I think we need this to at least have a chance to stay. But I think they're completely out. And so as far as what I think is going to happen, I think we right the ship as far as not turning the ball over, and we pound them running the football. I really look for us to have at least 250 yards rushing if we don't turn it over. We come out early running. We mix some play action in, once we establish the run, and then, it's just pick your poison. But I really think as a team, as a whole, we rush for about 200 yards. Let me look at these standings real quick. Let me go to the standings, and then I'll tell you what we had. Then we'll get up out of here. Standings. Conference. All right, so the standings for the AFC right now as they stand. Denver is 1 with 11-2. New England's 2 with 11-2. Jacksonville's 3rd with 9-4. Pittsburgh is 4th with 7-6. The Chargers are 5th with 9-4. Buffalo 6 9-4. Houston 7 8-5. The Colts are 8th with 8-5. We're 9th with 6-7. Kansas City's 10th with 6-7. Miami's 11th with 6-7. Bengals are 12th with 4-9. So I think mathematically they still have a chance, but it's a fat chance. And then in the division, we are obviously second behind 1 game behind Pittsburgh. We're technically 2 games because we need to beat them because they hold the tiebreaker on us. So with that being said, man, for those that are watching on the replay, put your score predictions in the comment section. And as far as myself, I think we beat them handily, 33-17, mainly because we commit to running the football and do a good job of doing that. So with that being said, thank y'all for coming out. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. Like, comment, subscribe, share. and enjoy y'all Saturday. Peace and love. Got you out of here in 25 minutes.